Welcome in, friends, to this Friday edition of GoJo and Golic. I'm Claudia Bellafato here in the Boston DraftKings studio, and we're sending you off into the weekend with a great one. Cam Bynum will join us to talk about the Vikings quarterback competition in the upcoming season. Ariel Helwani will preview UFC 303, and July 4th, chase or fade. Senior's going to give us his insight. I'll give you my opinion on what we're buying or selling for the upcoming holiday.
Welcome all to GoJo and Golic here on a Friday. I am Mike Golic Sr., my son, Mike Golic Jr., not in. I'm going to tell you something about where he is and what he's doing. Claudia Bellafato holding it down in the studio in Boston on her last day with us. Jesse Caulfield will be back when we come back from maternity leave. Claudia, we certainly will miss you, no doubt about it. I have a question to ask you as well. So I'm going to start there before we get into the second round of the draft, which was all about Bronny James, who ended up going 55 to the Lakers, but all kind of the talk around that pick and the thoughts on nepotism, which Woj has strong feelings about, and supposedly what Bronny's agent, the Clutch, obviously LeBron's agent, had to say about other teams if they were to draft Bronny. We'll get to that in a minute. First, Claudia, as you know, my son Mike, he's out in Tokyo for 10 days, or running around there and enjoying things. He's never been out there. Yesterday, he said, Claudia, for the first time, he used a bidet. He said those are everywhere out there. I personally have never used one. He said he enjoyed it very much. So already he's at a first out there.
He's a big bathroom guy. I feel like we talk about the bathroom a lot on this show, so I'm sure it was a pivotal day for him. I'm proud of him. I'm happy. I actually sent him a text last night. I don't know what he did to me, but I was crying, Senior. Maybe I'm just emotional, but I was crying looking at Tavis pictures and videos. Oh. So, yeah. He's out there enjoying Japan and trying new things, and I'm here crying in my bed looking at pictures of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. So everything's good.
I'm amazed. Yeah, I'm amazed how you have gone down that road. You were cynical about it at first, thought it was a publicity stunt. Now you are all in on these two, and I'm sure can't wait till he pops a question. Or as Charlotte Wilder said, she thinks he already did. Maybe. At this point. We will wait and see. The other thing, really close to my heart, is the fact that, when you're a rookie, really anywhere, first day on the job anywhere or whatever, the thought process is you bring in donuts, right? That's what you do. And if you don't, evil upon you for that. You, on your last day, good job out of you, you brought in donuts for the crew. Did I hear that correctly?
We have the best crew ever over here. They make this thing so easy. You guys were so welcoming coming into it. So a couple of donuts from Dunkin' was the least I could do. Some people might say, Claudia, that's cheap. Why Dunkin'? But I've had expensive donuts, and nothing hits like a good Boston Dunkin' donut. So
really?
Yeah. The guys deserve the world, but donuts will do.
I don't know how big of a donut person you are, but really, I mean, it's listen. Plus, it's easy to get donuts from Dunkin' Donuts out there because there's one on every corner. So the convenience of that is right there. But I am definitely one of those guys that I'll go with kind of the souped up donut. We had a great place called Donut Crazy in Connecticut that had just the best different kind, cereals on donuts, different creams in donuts. Was great because what's your favorite donut?
Senior, we had a fight about this. Do you remember? I said glazed donut is the best.
You said glazed, which blows my mind.
It's just so simple and sweet and so good.
That's right. You asked at that point. You asked me if I ever had a Krispy Kreme, and I had Krispy Kreme by the dozen, not by a single donut. One of the greatest things in the world is watching those donuts. When you see the Krispy Kreme, where you see the donuts being made, you just sit there and your mouth waters, slobber all over the window while you're waiting for there. So good job out of you, bringing in donuts on the last day. We'll be sad to see you go. We're going to have some fun with you today, though, as well. One of the big tie-ins through your time with us is your lack of watching popular movies. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that with some famous quotes from movies to see if you can name. And we're going to get your top 5 movies, which should be really interesting since you have not seemed to see any movie known to mankind except for Notebook, which you've seen about a dozen times. So
I think you'll be proud of me. I think you'll be proud.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I know one family who was proud and one papa who was proud of his son and he and Savannah's son, and that would be Bronny James. So it happened. We all had the speculation of what was going to happen to Bronny James. Where was he going to go? Was he going to play with his father? Was there going to be maybe another team? I saw tweets everywhere that said if Danny Ainge was still running the Celtics, he would have taken Bronny and held him ransom to try and get something for him. But what's interesting here, and I always talk about a leverage hammer. If you have it, you swing it. And we always talk about in basketball how there is power. And this was the 55th pick. So this is coming toward the end of the draft. So there are a lot of teams picking in the second round that could have taken Bronny if they wanted, and nobody did. And I think it was right around the 39th pick of the draft, as this draft was on ESPN. Bob Myers, who is one of the analysts now, if not a GM anymore at this point, maybe again, is an analyst. He came on and said something that was very interesting on why other teams may not be taking Bronny James.
Bob Myers, you promised at the top of the show that 30 minutes in, you would have an update for us on Bronny James, and we're 56.
Well, I don't get a chance to say anything.
So would you like to say
Stephen
it now?
A. talks a lot. There's other stuff going on.
Break some news. Stop whining.
Yeah, it sounds like
exactly.
Listen,
exactly.
Okay, fine. I will say
15 seconds.
Right now, Rich Paul's calling teams, don't take Bronny James. He's telling them, do not take him, okay? He's saying, don't take him. If you take him, he's going to Australia. So he has a plan and he has a place.
But he's not telling the Lakers.
I don't know if he's telling one team.
Mark Tatum.
Wow, how about that? That's what Bob Myers was reporting, that Clutch Sports was calling around telling teams, do not take him because he will not play for you. And remember, he only worked out for 2 teams. He worked out for the Suns and he worked out for the Lakers. And that was it. The guys at Clutch Sports, they Rich Paul, they had a plan. They had a plan for him. They didn't want the 2-way contract. And now we'll get into what's going to happen with him on the Lakers. But Claudia, my thought has always been, people who may not like this move, my thought is, man, if you're the agent of someone and you have a way to sway things, because people are saying, oh, he doesn't have the clout like a John Elway had or an Eli Manning had. No, he doesn't from a playing standpoint. But when his agency has the clout to, if they in fact did this, to pull this off, and nobody thought about taking Bronny James, hey, more power to him.
My thing here, Senior, is that's fine. I get it. It is LeBron James' son. I understand that Rich Paul has that power in Clutch Sports. My issue is, leading up to this, originally LeBron said, I want to play with my son. My goal before I leave this league is I want to play with my son. And then they backtracked the months leading up to the draft. And he said, actually, I don't care. I just want my son to have his own experience. I have my own. Rich Paul comes out saying, these are 2 separate clients. I'm giving Bronny James his own stage, yada, yada, yada. Okay, but then behind the scenes, he's calling teams saying, don't bring Bronny in. Bronny's not taking calls from other teams to go to practice. just say it like it is. Put it out on the table. We all know what it is. So the shady, the lying, and I don't know if we have to go as far as to call it lies, but little white lies, right? We knew. We saw right through that. So that's my only issue with this. And I think a lot of people would have less of a problem with it. Because when are we ever talking about a 55th pick? Ever. In any sport, right. Senior. There is a reason we're talking about it. So let's just say it like it is.
By the way, great use of yada, yada, yada. Perfect context. Nice job.
I get that from my mom. She says that.
And well, I'm sure she's a Seinfeld fan. So I think one of the things here, and again, I don't know, but I'm with you. LeBron kept talking about want to play with him, and then that cooled off, and we all said, well, Savannah stepped in, LeBron's wife, right, and Bronny's mom that said, hey, how about letting this kid do his own thing, and quit bringing that up, because you can't get away from the shadow that this is going to cast, and I'm with you. That kind of went by the wayside. Bronny or LeBron kind of changed his tune, and then we got to the rubber meeting the road. And it was like, okay, hands off. He's going to the Lakers. That's the end of the story. So you're right. It seemed a little hypocritical throughout the way. Again, we talk about, now this is going to be well before your time, Claudia, where fathers played with sons, and we kept bringing up Ken Griffey Sr., Ken Griffey Jr. playing together in Seattle. There's Gordie Howe played with two of his kids for a few years. Remember, Gordie Howe played till he was about 80, for God's sake, but he played with two of his kids as well. But you don't see this a lot. So from that standpoint, there's some of me that doesn't know how to judge or give an opinion on it because we don't see this. Would I want to do this if I was in a position where one of my kids was coming up and we had a chance to play together? Yes, I would. I think it would be unbelievably cool. I get to work with one of which is a cool thing, but to play with them, this is something that rarely, if ever, happens. As we know by the other ones I just stated, it doesn't happen a lot. So I know there would be part of me as a father trying to say, okay, man, I would love to do this. I would love to play with my kid. And then there's the other part, again, where I think maybe the better half jumps in, like my wife would, and say, let this kid go down their own road. Yeah, it'd be cool for you. It might be a cool moment, but we have to let this kid go down his own road. So I think that's where the bump in the road came. But at the end of it all, It was, Claudia. It was Klutch kind of swinging their leverage hammer and saying, don't touch Bronny or he's going somewhere else. And something they were very vocal about too was Bronny. They didn't want him to be a two-way player. They didn't want him to have to do the whatever it is, the San Diego team that they have, and then maybe get pulled up to the Lakers. What do you mean? He played a year of college at USC and averaged under 5 points, and I understand the heart condition plays into that, but that's another leg of this. He does have a heart problem, and so that is a worry. It's not an injury. That's something really serious that can sort of just pop up out of nowhere. So, and of course he was a 5-star recruit at high school. What he did, and we know the talent's there, and he has all of the resources to bring that ceiling super high as a player, but the whole situation is getting murky when it shouldn't be, because it's very straightforward on what it is, and nepotism, that's what it is, and we can get to how other folks think about that around the media, but I think we got to lay it all on the table. Bronny got this. Maybe he would be on another team, but it would not be the same path that he's going to get with the Lakers, right? And this was very clear, and I want to go to the numbers to explain that, because we've been talking about Bronny up to this point. DraftKings had this whole entire market. They had a Bronny James market for the number 55 pick, right? Interestingly enough, though, to go to the Lakers, it was only -135, so not too juiced. I want to get to some of the numbers behind this, though, to see who cashed or trashed this Bronny James market. Cash it or trash it, presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned to hear everything DraftKings has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See DraftKings.com for details. The line was set at 49.5. That would be where he would be drafted to. Of course, Lakers at 55. 61% of the handle. The money was on the over. 48% of the bet. So those folks cashed, of course, with him being drafted at 55. And like I mentioned, Lakers only -135. Some would argue that's great value, Senior, with all of the talk around that. That probably should have been a little heftier. I'm kind of mad I didn't get on that, but 35% of the bets cash on that, 67% of the handle. And this goes back to maybe we should have looked at this market a bit closer, because I think it was sort of written in stone at that point. Yeah, listen, he's not the first or last supposed maybe reach that goes in the second round. We see this in the NBA and then how these players can develop. Hell, there were a couple of guys at the end of the first round that had somewhat comparable scoring stats to Bronny James, and they went in the first round. So you're kind of betting, that they're going to develop into something. So from that standpoint, it's not the oddest thing in the world, but you throw in LeBron, you throw when he got there to the Lakers, makes it that way. So I want to get to the nepotism as well from Woj, but as far as his play on the court, there's talk, can he go one-on-one? Can he take somebody off the dribble? Can he make it to the hoop? And then there are others. They said, I was reading this. One talent evaluator who observed Bronny during the pre-draft process told ESPN this was interesting, that the guard's extensive soccer experience growing up might have caused him to unknowingly pace himself on the court after being accustomed to playing on more expansive soccer pitches. And former NBA All-Star Gilbert Arenas, who worked out with Bronny in LA in recent years, actually backed up the observation on Gil's Arena podcast. He said about Bronny, he has the Bugatti engine, but he wants to drive the speed limit. That was interesting. That was a kind of an interesting breakdown of somebody who has that ability, but another sport maybe, and I don't know how true it is, but these are evaluators. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then of course the nepotism thought comes up, and Woj talking about this, Woj got after it a little bit saying, you know what? I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear these charges, people talking about nepotism.
No,
the NBA is full of nepotism.
Full of it.
The ownership level, front offices,
Absolutely.
coaching.
Yep.
I don't want to hear it all of a sudden because of Bronny James's father plays for the Lakers. Right. It is rampant in this league.
That is
So there it is. He says that doesn't want to hear it. And rampant, he talked more about like in management positions and such than more than on the court. So whatever we all think, it's done. It's in the books. Bronny is going to be a Laker. So we'll see where it goes. I do want to get to this, Claudia, about a player who's going to have a significant contribution to whatever team he's going to play for, and that's Paul George. I'm digging Lawrence Frank, who's running the Clippers right now, basically saying, I want everybody back. And then there's the big but about the whole business thing. But Paul George is getting interesting on what's going on with the Clippers.
I think, we've had ongoing conversations with Paul and Aaron Mintz, his agent. We love Paul. We very much want to retain Paul, but we also very much understand and respect the fact this is a business, and players have a finite amount of time to be able to not just make the most amount of money, but to be able to pursue whatever they want. We hope Paul's decision is to be here. He's been awesome. He's been an all-star 3 of the 5 years. He's one of the best two-way players in the league. He's a terrific person. He got a great family, so we hope he's here, but also respect the fact that if he chooses to opt out, that's his choice. He's earned it, and we'll see how things play out.
So that's Lawrence Frank, who you just mentioned, Clippers president of operations, and all of those things he said about Paul George, both true and sweet of him to say. The issue is they don't want to give him a 4th year, and that's all he wants, senior. And that's why we're having this conversation. That's why Philly and the Warriors are looking at him saying, hey, we'll give you a 4th year. Come here. That's the problem that he didn't mention.
This is where they're banking on Paul George being from their hometown and staying there. This is they're looking for him to give that hometown discount of a year, but there's so much money involved in this. So to put it in context here, Paul George is eligible for a 4-year, $221 million extension. As Claudia said, they're a little iffy on that 4th year. They were already the oldest team in the NBA, just under 30 years old. They already gave an extension in January to Kawhi Leonard for 3 years and $150 million. Lawrence Frank talked about how Harden fit in, and he wants him back as well. But these are all, old men in the club here. So as Lawrence says, we'd like them back, but it's a business decision too about how we're going to build our team going forward. And part of that is, we don't want to go 4 years, and Paul George is going to have other suitors that do. So you play a risky game here, Claudia, when you bank on somebody saying it's their hometown and we're going to use that as maybe a little bit of leverage to hope he stays here. Maybe that means, like, if they lose him, they won't be all that upset.
Which I understand, and I said this about Paul George when we talked about this last. He is a great player. Some would put him, among some of the better players in the league, one of the best, but he hasn't had that much of an impact on his team by himself, right? And the Clippers are a great team in general, but when you look at the odds, like I'm looking at the odds, they're 16-1. They're pretty far down the board when it comes just for the Western Conference. And that might say more about the West than the Clippers specifically, but if we're looking for what team fits best for Paul George, I don't know, like the Sixers, but only because the Sixers are that much closer to actually winning because of what's around him. I don't know if that has much to say about Paul George himself.
I'm with you. So Golden State to pair with Steph Curry, we all still like the Philadelphia move, go with Embiid, the center, Maxey, the guard. He's a wing guy with Paul George. So we'll wait and see, but we'll see if they figure that out with the Clips or he moves on somewhere else. Coming up next, we talked a lot about father-son. While the Panthers are celebrating with the Cup, we had a celebration here with the golf tournament, but it turned out to be a competition between father and son. Welcome back to GoJo Golic. Mike Golic Sr. here. Claudia Bellafato in the studios in Boston. Her last day. We will miss her, but she did bring donuts for the crew, which is a very, very cool move. We've been talking about celebrations. We're going to get to the Florida Panthers and the Cup celebration. But as you know, also last weekend we talked about it. We held the Golic Family Foundation Subpar Classic, and we call it Subpar because we stink at golf. And we have been bringing you content all week, and we do have one more highlight that kind of highlights what the whole, weekend was about, but also kind of the side part of it of a real competition.
This is the third annual Golic Family Subpar Classic. 100% of this money goes to the South Bend, Michiana area. Subpar is real. We suck at golf, so that's why we call it Subpar Classic. There are some good players, and the ones that are good players usually cheat, but we don't care.
I say that because I cheat as well. So we'll see who's standing at the top when this is over.
How you doing?
Good, good, good.
We're back in South Bend, benefit the Golic Family Foundation, help out a bunch of great charities around the South Bend, Indiana, Mishawaka area here. It's an exciting opportunity. Shotgun start, scramble rules. We're gonna go out there, have a great time, and continue to raise a bunch of money.
For me personally, the main goal is to beat my son. I gotta sit next to him every single day. If I can get bragging rights, then my day is made.
Feeling fun? You want to jump? Right, you want to jump? All right, we got one out in play. I have X amount of good swings in my body in any given day, and I would rather use them out here. Scramble's the perfect format for me.
We're all on the right side of the ball, of all of us, linebackers and D-linemen. Let's stay away from the O-line. Oh, turn. I do, they all cheat. They all cheat, they all hold.
Think we get a little bit of relief out from behind this tree. Get about a club's length of relief. Oh no, sprayed it. Gross. Good news is we're not gonna have to worry about that one.
We think 130 something? Turn. All right.
Woo! Getting the breakfast ball out of the way here. We need to start selling mulligans at this tournament. Oh, you gotta hit it. You gotta hit it, get it up that shelf.
That's a good putt. Oh! Didn't do anything at the end.
It's a mess of a putt. Bang, there we go. Off and running.
Let me show you what I got.
Yeah!
Wow. Now one left. Damn.
Oh, get it up there. God, soft.
I would tell my son to play by the rules, but he is an old lineman.
My dad's been subsisting on that joke in sports media for over 2 decades now. I've had to hear it my entire life.
I gotta believe we're in the lead right now, and we're playing fair. We haven't cheated yet.
I'm not engaging with a bad faith take. You save that for the debate shows, Dad. Oh God, the pretzel I'm gonna inhale.
I saw him right when they pulled in. Chicago staple Pepos. Ooh, let's go to the number 8.
Everything on it?
Oh yeah.
Damn, Fee. Cheese would be awesome. Pretzel, salt, a little bit of cheese in there.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Just a nice cooling South Bend mist. Really trick you into believing that you might actually be playing around in beautiful Dublin, Ireland. I don't even know if they have golf courses there. Either one. There we go. There we go.
Ha! The last thing I said to myself was stay down.
Wow. Wow.
How far are we, do we know? God, dog it. I hate when this happens. Oh!
What a roll. Oh my God.
How bad you guys cheating?
I think about 5, 6 under at this point. How's your shoulder?
How's your bald head?
That's the only thing you've got now. It's just the ball jokes.
I don't believe him.
Dad doesn't have what it takes to go the distance in this. Stamina is going to become the issue, and that's where we eat.
Shockingly enough, playing a little more by the rules. That means we're kicking their ass, is what that means. I'll hit the thing. For God, that should cost me $100.
Oh, God, bladed the hell out of it. Ugh!
Oh, God!
That's how you finish off the day right there. We ended up at 5 under on the day. We just birdied that hole. Dad's gonna try and make this about strokes. Don't listen to him. That's not what these charity outings are about. And anyone who says otherwise, honestly, is dealing selfishly in this. And I would hate to be that kind of person. I hope Dad chooses not to be that kind of person. We'll find out, though.
He probably rambled on about everybody having a good time. I just hope people had fun so they come back. That's what it's all about. That's his way of deflecting to the fact that I kicked his ass.
To get a chance to do this with some of the people that we love most in this world is unbelievable. We're fortunate to be here for year 3, and we can't thank everyone enough for their support. Everyone who was here, everyone who's donated online, who bid on the silent auction from afar if they couldn't be here, every single dollar helps, and it couldn't mean more to us.
That was fun. Yeah, we had a good time doing that. Again, we had a little fun competition between me and Mike. Every time I watch myself swing, I'm disgusted. I just have no flexibility at all. But the weekend, listen, it's about having a good time. We invite a lot of celebs back who played football there. It's a bit of a reunion as well, and it's all for the South Bend area. You know, my wife helped, really started this Golic Family Foundation, and myself, and my kids, and all the people that we bring back, the former athletes, all, went to Notre Dame, but we lived in the South Bend area, so it means a whole lot to us. So we like to help to give back. So we just want to keep trying to raise a lot of money, and we'll continue doing this as long as we possibly can. And Claudia, that was our celebration. One of the dumbest things I heard Mike say. First, he tried the Ireland accent, and then he said Dublin, Ireland. And then he said, I wonder if they even have golf courses there. What does he get? I mean, is he serious? Golf courses in Dublin? Oh, my God. But let's get to another celebration. Okay, we celebrated. We raised a lot of money. We don't have the final total yet to add on to what you saw there for the charities, but they are passing the cup around in hockey for the Panthers, and they're having a good time with it.
Oh yeah, that cup has seen some things out there in South Florida, and Phil Pritchard has been along with it. He's the keeper of the cup. And there's pictures out there, if you're not watching on DraftKings Network or YouTube, this man is distraught, Senior. He has his hand on his face, watching from afar, saying, what have I gotten myself into? What has this man seen that's made him react this way?
I mean, seeing what's going on. What did we had? We had the cup full of pasta, right?
Yeah, pasta.
Didn't Luongo put it had it full of pasta? I mean, again, remember how big this thing is. It can hold up to 17 12-ounce drinks. So imagine the amount of pasta that it can hold. I mean, absolutely incredible. Luongo is a special advisor to the GM, and there is a good question. How did he get the cup already? Shouldn't it go to all the players first? I mean, I don't know if he jumped in. I don't know how it works. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how it works. But, man, when you have that sucker full of pasta, how great is that?
And we're seeing a pizza on it right now, too. The Italian in me is just so proud of this team. I didn't want them to win, but now I'm a little happy for them.
It's I think the greatest trophy, and the celebration is the greatest we have in all of sports. One of the great celebrations in my sport of football is being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And Steve McMichael is going to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He has obviously some horrific health situations going on now. But the man that's going to induct him, Jarrett Payton, Walter Payton's son, he joined my son. You'll hear what they had to say next.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. Getting inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this August is former Bears defensive tackle Steve McMichael. 15 seasons he played, 213 games, 191 games in a row for the Bears, 95 total sacks, 2-time Pro Bowl, 3-time first team All-Pro. Earlier this week, GoJo sat down with the man who will present at the ceremony, Jarrett Payton, son of Hall of Famer Walter Payton.
All right, this is cool. We always love legacies, father-son conversation on this show. So what better to bring in here than Jarrett Payton, kind enough to join us now, former Miami running back, son of the great and late Walter Payton, and also going to be presenting here for the Hall of Fame this year, Steve McMichael, which I have to imagine is going to be a tremendous honor. You guys can also watch him over at WGN in Chicago doing a fantastic job there. So Jarrett, we appreciate the time this morning, man. How you doing?
Hey, man, appreciate it. Always good to talk to you, man. Hope the family's doing well. And yeah, I can't believe I'm going back to Canton again to be able to induct Steve Mongo McMichael for, going into the Hall of Fame. And I was doing this back in my teenage years as well. So it's just a full circle of being able to do it twice in my lifetime, which is a huge honor.
For people that have never been inside that weekend, take us there of just everything that goes into creating that moment that you eventually see on stage, but also all the lead up to it and the celebration of these incredible careers.
Yeah, I think it's one of those moments. I know for my father, that was one of the things that he was looking forward to in his life, right? Like everybody, I think when you talk to these greats, the Hall of Famers, the GOATs, the one thing is that they all want to, leave their legacy on the game, but they also want to be enshrined in those halls with all of the other GOATs. And so that's one of the biggest motivators for my father. So when you get there, it's like a breath of fresh air. And I remember just seeing my pops and the smile on his face and being around all the other guys he was going into the hall with, but then all the other legends that were there. It was like, man, I'm finally here. And this was a part of the goal. This was a part of the mission. And it's a lot of hard work, just playing the game of football, the hard work that goes into it, the dedication, the hours, the grind, and the injuries. And sometimes guys don't get an opportunity. Their careers don't last that long. So to be able to play 13 years, only miss one game your rookie year, and when you were all said and done, to be able to be the all-time leading rusher, to me, that's a huge honor. And I think now to see Steve, man, this is another honor for him where he won't be there physically, but I know he'll be there mentally and in spirit for what he's been waiting for his whole entire life.
I was going to say, talk about that relationship with Steve. What has he meant to you and your family over the years, and how important is this for you? Like you said, he can't be there, unfortunately, but to be able to be a part of the voice and part of the presence for him in that celebration.
It's every time I think about it, I get chills because I think about Steve McMichael, and he is, when you think about him or if you know him, he is bigger than life, Mike. He's bigger than life. And so when he would walk into a room, he took over the room. He would look at everybody and smile at everybody, and he would do his trademark, "All right now, baby. All right now, baby." And when you heard that, it just put a smile on your face. He would always just ease the tension. He would make people talk. He would just start the conversation. And the people that he's met throughout his life, I just think about it from being born to playing football. The fact that he came to me to be like, "Yo, I want you to do this," and also too when he started his battle with ALS. I mean, that was the first call he made was me, and he called me and he's like, "I want you to do the story," and it's weird because he's like one of my uncles. So then I'm thinking about it's one of my uncles, but then also I'm in this business now of being in the media where I'm also looking at the other side going, man, this is a huge story, but this is also my uncle that's going through this battle right now. And to be there and trying to separate the two was super hard for me. And it's been like that throughout this whole entire process leading up to the Hall of Fame. And it's been a struggle because a lot of the things that I'm seeing with Steve is the battles that I went through with my father when he was going through his battle with cancer before he passed away. And so there's so many similarities that it has my emotions like all up and down. And I just want to do the best job that I can, and I want to honor Steve McMichael, and I also want to honor my dad too as well, because this is truly an honor that people don't get a chance to have, and for me to be able to do it twice, Mike, man, I'm telling you, I can't even tell you. I'm still trying to figure out, has anybody ever done it twice? And I can't find that out yet.
I was going to say, that's what we need to start looking into now. We could be getting into rarefied air in terms of Hall of Fame presentation. So I love that. We're going to get, you know what, we'll combine forces here with WGN and with what we've got here at DraftKings. And we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of this and find out if you are in fact the only person that has done this twice, which would be absolutely incredible. So obviously, like you said, incredibly powerful. Got to be so excited for that. You're also right now, though, covering sports in a city that's tremendously excited for this upcoming football team here. So what is the vibe and the hope feeling like around town as the Bears get ready to launch a campaign with a quarterback that's supposed to be the answer for all of their dreams?
Man, this city is on a buzz right now. I mean, they can't wait for football to get here and to start in the training camp. And I think that's the Caleb Williams effect, man. You've been covering this sport just as long as I have. And in this city, that's what everybody's been waiting for. This city is starving for a franchise quarterback. They thought they had it, in Justin Fields. And then before that, they were like crossing their fingers, hoping for Mitchell Trubisky, but those situations did not turn out. But now you have a dude that, and you and I both know, anytime that you could take home the stiff arm trophy, that means you're doing something. You have extreme ability and an extreme talent. And I think that's what we're waiting for, is to be able to see a young man like Caleb Williams, who has all the tools in his toolbox and now is set up, when you look at the way that Ryan Poles has set up this organization, and also on the offensive side of the ball, he's got him some weapons, some veterans, another young one in Roma Dunze. So now it's like, they're doing everything they can to surround him with talent to be successful. Now it's going to be up to him, Shane Waldron, to kind of figure this whole thing out of what makes it tick, through the play calls, to the cadence, all that stuff. And it's going to be a process. This is my only issue. Here in Chicago, I'm at fault as well. We want stuff instant. We want it to be right away. And I think, when we look at, what maybe some other quarterbacks have done recently, of how it is, the success that's there, that's what we're hoping for and expecting. And I think we have to kind of taper back just a little bit and understand this is a rookie coming into a situation, even though we know he's at a higher level. And I think he's coming in on a different level than those other two quarterbacks that I talked about in the NFL, but he's going to have some ups and downs. And let's kind of taper it back a little bit and watch him grow. And I think I'm here for the process when it comes to what Caleb Williams is going to be. And right off the bat, yes, we want to see development. We want to see strides, but just know that this young man is going to have some down moments as well. And it's going to be fun to be able to watch him grow out of that, because I think he has all the makeup that you want in a starting quarterback, that moxie, everything, all the different tools to be truly successful here in Chicago.
It does seem like an ideal set of circumstances, even different than what they had more recently with Justin Fields, with what you said. Poles has put so much great stuff around him. Asking fans for patience always seems like it's going to be dangerous territory, but man, we can hope and dream that they'll give this guy a chance to breathe. And like you said, develop with this young core into something that could be really, really special in Chicago. Obviously, you are someone that knows all about what it's like to be special in Chicago. Jarrett, we can't thank you enough for the time today, man. Enjoy the rest of this summer. We're excited to see you once again presenting at the Hall of Fame induction here. We know it's going to be incredibly special for you, for your family, for Steve McMichael, and everybody else. So enjoy it, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again as we get closer to the season, all right?
Hey, appreciate you, man. Anytime you need me, hit me up.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jarrett. Really appreciate it.
welcome back into GoJo and Golic as we wrap up hour one. We're going to talk about the 4th of July, and we're going to follow or fade, chase or fade some traditions of the 4th. And you might be wondering, why are we doing that now? Well, the guys are going to take a little break off next week. But don't worry, you can catch GoJo and Golic episodes, the best of, here on DKN and also on the podcast front. Some awesome interviews we've had over the last few weeks and segments. You can catch it all there. 4th of July. I think it's one of the most exciting holidays. Of course, the American pride, the hot dogs, the glizzies, as Emerson would say, the beers. There's so much, the family, the friends. So I'm going to run through a list, basically, and you're going to tell me, Senior, if you're chasing or fading this July 4th tradition, all right? This will be fun.
Yep.
And the first one is probably the best. A cooler full of beers. I know your answer already.
Yeah, how are we not chasing that? I mean, are you kidding me? This is one of the greatest thing is beer, and the other thing is not having to go far to get it, right? I don't have to get up and walk anywhere. I got a cooler of beer right next to me or right in the vicinity of me to grab a nice ice cold beer. Whether it's right there, whether I'm asking someone to pass something over, there is nothing better than to have beer readily available wherever you are, wherever you're celebrating the 4th of July, having a good time, knowing that within your sight and within your grasp is an ice cold beer.
Oh, beer's too good. My only issue is I can't drink too many beers. I get a tummy ache, Senior. So I might actually have to semi-fade this one. Like a different type of cocktail, a beer or two, but...
So what you need to do is what I would do if I was drinking too much beer and I get full, I mix in a shot every now and then to kind of move the process along. How about that?
Senior knows what's going on. I'll have to take notes. Next one up is fireworks.
I am chasing this one so much. So when I was young and then got older, did this too. When I was young, we used to go to my parents were in this club called Club Unique, and they always got together on certain times of the year. 4th of July was one of them. And we'd go out to one of the guys in the club. They had a house that had a pool, and we'd all be there, and they had fireworks. And I mean, tons of fireworks. I remember one time we had the fireworks going, and there's smoke everywhere. And fireworks were not legal in Ohio, especially the ones that go in the air. We had plenty. And the cops pulled in. And I mean, it was smoky out, and the cops pulled in, and we were all standing there looking at the cops. Officer gets out of the car, said, "You guys shooting off fireworks?" And all the dads are like, "No, officer, we're not." You know, we're just nothing
smoking ribs, man.
Around us. But when we were living in Connecticut, we'd always go over our friend's house, the Perianos. They had a pool. We were hanging out. 4th of July. I always got these illegals that my brother Greg would send me. And Claudia, I mean, we had like a city show. These were so big and so loud. Every time we blew one of them off, all the kids were going nuts. And me and the Periano's father, Mike, his name is Mike as well. Me and Mike would look at one another and go, "We're in so much trouble." I mean, we just kept waiting for the police to show up because we shot off such incredibly illegal and high shooting and loud fireworks. But everybody in the neighborhood would come out and watch. So I am way chasing fireworks. Just be careful using them. Be responsible.
I was going to say, I've never done them myself, so you're a brave soul for doing that. They scare me. I love watching them. We used to go on my boat on the Charles River. It was always beautiful. I get a little emotional. I'm just an emotional person, but you know, it is nice. Are you guys doing fireworks? What are your plans? Side note, out of this game real quick, what are the plans for the 4th? You guys hosting?
Well, I mean, now, you know, the it's just me and my wife and the 3 dogs. So I for 4th of July. So I don't think we're going to get a barrage of fireworks going on here. Plus for the dogs, it's horrible because it's a dog nightmare on 4th of July. When the fireworks are going off, dogs all just freak out everywhere.
I was just going to say that. You're like the firework man now, Mr. Firework, and you have all these cute little puppies. Okay, next one is parades. I feel pretty strongly about those, Swan. I'm curious what you think.
Oh. Fading this one. Yeah. I am not a parade person at all. I mean, I don't need the big crowds. I don't want to just sit there and watch something. I'd rather be out doing something. So I I have never been a big parade person. I don't think I ever will be a big parades person. So I am fading on that. Now, you obviously have coming at it differently. You've had a ton of championship parades to go to in your town.
Championship parades are amazing, but again, there's one boat usually of the players you really want to see, and then it's gone. And it's not fun for me, and I get a lot of heat for this, but this is why I don't understand why people love New Orleans so much. Because I've gone to those parades and I'm like, this is awful. Like, I'm sorry, people. I do not like New Orleans for that reason. Bourbon Street can get a little crazy and smelly. So this has nothing to do with the 4th of July, but the parades is part of it. So, okay, we're out on parades. This next one, I feel like if you don't like hot dogs, you're crazy, but hot dogs, Senior, are we chasing or fading?
I mean, not even a question. We're chasing these. God knows Emerson, if he were here, he'd be talking about them. But I mean, I've said one of my big regrets at ESPN is I never got to call the Nathan's hot dog eating contest on the 4th of July that Mike has been able to call 2 times. So I am jealous of that. I love hot dogs. Will always like hot dogs. And my thought is you put whatever on the hot dog, what you want to put on the hot dog. People say you can't do this, you can't do that to pizza or to hot dogs. I say eat them however you want. You're the one eating them. You put on what you want to enjoy it. But give me hot dogs, and more hot dogs.
I'm so with you. I love it. You just can't raw dog the hot dog. If you put nothing on it, it's a little concerning in my eyes. We do have a hot dog category on DraftKings, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, we do. Jeffrey Esper is the men's outright winner right now, plus 120. And the field actually, it's sort of split. Webb is plus 175. Weary, who came on the show, at 5-1. So if you're looking to bet on hot dogs for the 4th of July, you can head over to DraftKings.
This is an interesting one because you actually don't know now, right? Because Joey Chestnut's not in it.
Yeah.
So it truly is kind of a little more of a crapshoot.
A little bit more of a gamble. Next one. If you don't like hot dogs, you probably like burgers. Are you fading or chasing burgers?
Listen, I've grilled on many a 4th of July, and my grill has always had hot dogs and burgers on it. Both. I think they're both a staple of summer. They're both a staple of 4th of July. I'm a cheeseburger guy all the way. So those are the 2 meats, and in my opinion, the only 2 meats that matter on 4th of July.
Well, what other meat would there be?
Well, people can cook up steak or ribs or chicken. They could do that. I'm not up for that. I am just up for dogs and burgers, and that is all.
See, that's how my brain is wired. I'm like, what else would you have other than Claudia? There's a lot of meats out there. Okay, how about going to the beach or a lake or some sort of body of water? Chase or fade on the 4th?
Claudia, I'm going to fade this. I've never been a fan of a beach. I've never been a fan of laying on the sand. And when it gets hot and you get sweaty and the sand's all over you. And forget the ocean. The ocean belongs to the sharks and the other fish like that.
No.
I'm walking it a little bit just for my feet, but ocean is for them. In all honesty, I'm more of a pool guy. Let me lounge by the pool. No sharks in the pool, nothing going to bite me in the pool. I can still get a cerveza right at the pool there, and I can jump in when need be. So I'm kind of fading on the beach.
Man, the ocean does scare the crap out of me, but I do love the beach. I'm a big beach girl, so that makes me sad, but it's fine. Traffic. I don't even know why this is on the list. Drew, I love you, our producer, but wow, who chases traffic?
Yeah, can we move on from this?
Yeah,
we fade this, and I fade the person that put it on this list. This is ridiculous.
All right, this is an interesting one.
A traffic jam.
This is an interesting one. American flag wardrobes. It's so true. Like, chase or fade, because...
Only on this day, right? I mean, I'll deal with, just like Halloween, the only day you deal with someone walking around dressed up. You see that like in January, somewhere, you're like, who's that freak? So I'll chase this only on that day, though. Well, I'll let you get away with that. I know there are those out there, you can't do this, you can't do that. I don't mind it on the day. I
will say, my boyfriend's from Scotland. He's going to his first 4th of July party, right? And he goes, so does everyone just wear American flag stuff? And I'm like, that's how they picture us, that we just come out with American flag. And I'm like, honestly, yeah, some people do. I'm in between. I'll wear something red, something blue, maybe. The full out gear, man, if you got it, go for it, though. Why not?
Absolutely. Hope everybody has a safe 4th. We'll talk about that a little more. Coming up next, we talk NFC North Vikings and an incredible incredible kids football camp. Welcome back, GoJo and Golic. Mike Golic Sr. here. The aforementioned GoJo is out and about in Japan, hanging out, having a good time. Claudia Bellafato at the Boston studios are right now for us. This is, again, as she mentioned, next week we will just be showing best ofs. That's why we did a little 4th of July fun. How is that? Is that one of your favorite holiday, Claudia? Is 4th of July, or do you have one? Or
it's just, I think it's just a very simple holiday, right? Like you just show up to have a good time and have pride for the country. I think it's great. Yeah.
I like holidays where you don't really have to, Christmas is my favorite, but sometimes when you go to somebody's house, you got to get a little bit more dressed up than you want.
It's a lot of work.
Thanksgiving, a little more dressed up, and there's work involved. 4th of July, there's not, right? You got a grill, you got a lounge chair, you got a cooler, you're good. You're good for the day. Yeah. I mean, there's not much to it, right?
That's what America is, man. Just go out there, have a good time, and enjoy everything that we have. I guess so, yeah. That's a good one. It's an easy holiday.
Completely agree. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It's a very, very easy holiday. And again, if you're going to have the fireworks, be very careful with them. Enjoy them, but enjoy them at a distance. We're gonna talk to Cam Bynum here in a couple of minutes. Safety for the Minnesota Vikings on the NFC North. The Vikings. And an incredible camp that he had and where it was, as well as he's trying to introduce football to the youth of the world when you hear where he had this. But we're also going to get into there's some quarterback competitions coming up. We're in the quote unquote dark period of the NFL. It's past our last mini camps, which usually end the 2nd or 3rd week of June, and players are usually off till about the 3rd week of July when camps open again. So this is players' kind of downtime. They keep working out, but it's their downtime a little bit. So we'll look forward to breaking down the NFC North some. And as I mentioned, there's quarterback competitions basically going on everywhere. There was also, if we have time, we'll get into the lawsuit as well that the NFL lost, I think, to the tune of how many billions of dollars with what was it, the Sunday Ticket or DirecTV? I mean, there's the numbers there are mind-boggling, quite honestly.
4.7 billion? Is that right? Wall Street Journal.
4.7 billion in damages, yeah.
That's crazy. Antitrust violations, surrounding the Sunday Ticket package. How'd you not get ahead of that?
They said when one of the jurors was asking about a formula about how much people were spending for the Sunday Ticket and how much they had to pay, how long and all that, everyone was thinking, oh, when a juror asks that, that means it's going to go against the NFL and they're just figuring out what the damages are going to be. I don't think it's anything that's going to hurt the NFL by any stretch of anybody's imagination. So, we can chat about that as well as, like I said, the quarterback controversies as well. But before Cam comes on, we're gonna look at the NFC North. What's interesting is I looked at let's bring him in. Okay, Cam Bynum is ready, safety for the Minnesota Vikings, joining us here on GoJo and Golic. And Cam, we do appreciate your time this morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
We're doing well. I want to get into the camp that you had because, man, incredibly unique where you had it and what you're doing. It looked like it was an absolute ball, even when you guys got poured on by the rain. It was incredible. We'll certainly get to that. But let's start off. This is what, your fourth year. You got drafted in the fourth round in 2021 out of Cal. And I was just talking about, we had 23 teams out of the 32 that had at least one head coach, offensive or defensive coordinator change. Minnesota was one of 9 teams that did not. I talk a lot about when you change coordinators or coaches, how that can change the system and the language. So talk about obviously the plus side of it. And you now have Brian Flores back again, so you're still in that defense. So give us a little bit on Brian Flores and that type of defense you're playing.
Yeah, so first and foremost, this is my first time being in the NFL and having a repeat coordinator coming in. So it's been a fun offseason, finally being able to build on something instead of learning something completely new like I have for the first 3 years so far, 2-3 off seasons. So just being able to be under Flo again and knowing what he, because it's different when you're changing coordinators and you see B-Flow and how he plays defense and how his style is different than 90% of the other coordinators out there in the league. And it's fun being able to repeat that because it's like how much more crazy stuff can we put in, and we're still finding ways to put in cooler defenses and just more aggressive and really just being able to stack on what we did last year. And I think we had a really good showing on defense. We just weren't as consistent as we wanted to. So being able to have a full offseason building on that and still getting the kinks out and learning how to play together has been really fun.
So this is a defense last year about the middle of the pack, 16th in total yards, 24th in passing yards, 14th in scoring. So in your mind, a lot of talk on the offense, back when Kirk Cousins was there throwing to Justin Jefferson and now with, Sam Darnold coming in and J.J. McCarthy, we'll get to that. But on the defensive side, where are you guys looking for the improvement that could put you into a top 10 defense?
Really consistency. I think last year, especially towards the middle of the year when we started to figure things out, we had a really good showing. We had a shutout against the Raiders and we had a really good few weeks in the middle of the season where we really felt good. Everything felt in control. But towards the end of it, we kind of started slipping on little small things. We had a lot of injuries and just a lot of different things that went into us not being the best we can be. And that's completely on us. And as a leader, we take responsibility of that. But I think really just our consistency on defense and being able to have those great games, but stack them week by week and not have those weeks where we're giving up a lot and offenses are having an easy time against us. And I think a few games last year, we let them slip away and let things really slip from our hands and let some games slip just on our fault. And I think as a defense, if we're consistent and play like we do on the great weeks where we're feeling amazing and we make that a normal thing, I think we could be a top 10, top 5 defense.
Being a Notre Dame guy like I am, I always love to give Notre Dame a little love. Your safety in the back there, in the back of the defense with Harrison Smith, Domer, who's had a long career with the Minnesota Vikings. And so how has he helped you? As your 4th year in the league, you've been paired back there with him. How has he helped you come along in the pros?
For me, it's just seeing him practice, seeing really just his everyday, how he thinks about the game is the biggest thing that I learned. Being under Harry so far has been one of the biggest things that helped me grow. Just being able to play next to him and play off of him and learn things. And he's not he lets you play your style of the game. So he's not trying to get me to play like him or play like somebody else. When he's giving me pointers, he's teaching me how to better my game based off of my style. So I think being next to somebody like him that's seen it all, that has been in every type of defense in the league, has seen every type of offense from old school to the middle of his career, and now the new era of the game where it's all passing and just spacing the ball out. I think he's been able to see it all. So just hearing him talk about the game and hearing him just coach me up in times I need it has helped me grow. And I give him a lot of credit on my growth over my 4 years so far.
You talk about it is a passing league now. In the years you have been with Minnesota every year, Kirk Cousins has been the guy under center, and now he's gone to Atlanta, and you have Sam Darnold, who was brought over from San Francisco, and high pick J.J. McCarthy, a quarterback. So for the first time in your career, you've seen a quarterback battle on the team you're playing with. So what do you think of that, and how has that been going in your eyes from what you see?
It's enjoyable to watch, just seeing people compete and knowing the nature of the game, that there can only be one starter. So seeing the way they both go about their daily routine and the way they practice hard, I think that's good just for the team overall, having 2 people compete like that. But so far, we haven't seen much just because it's OTAs. It's different. It's the different. You can never judge anybody's performance based off of OTAs, especially with the rookie coming in. They're not going to be as in front of us as a normal vet would, because we're going against only seeing the rookies half the time in OTA. So can't really judge anything off of now, but I know that they're both going about their business as if they are the starter and will be the starter. So it's fun to watch and seeing them grind.
I think I know the answer to this, but I want to hear you say it anyway. Even though you have a quarterback competition, a new quarterback, what's the goal for the Minnesota Vikings this year?
Super Bowl. There's no other answer besides that. No, people will call you crazy, and you see the tweets of everybody saying, "Yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl this year." But if you don't think like that as a player and as a competitor, then something's wrong with you. So I think for us, I believe it. And I know whoever coach picks to be the starting quarterback will take us far. You see the weapons we have on offense. We see the players that we have on defense. And if we come out and have the season that we're preparing for and that we expect to have, the ball is really in our court, and we know that we can do something with it, and that's the Super Bowl, and that's the only place we're looking, and we'll fall anywhere else if we don't go that far. But that's the expectation, that's the mindset every time.
Certainly the attitude of all football players or all athletes in a team sport as well as it should be.
Right.
Now, also in the offseason, players do a lot of different things and a lot like to give back, and you do as well. So this was amazing. Camp Beasy, I believe it was called, in the Philippines. And explain this camp and why also it was in the Philippines that you had for a ton of young men and women.
Okay, yes. So to start, I live in the Philippines all of off season. So I spend all of my time, not in Minnesota, overseas. And 2 years ago when I came out here, I met some guy, and he's one of my closest friends out here now. And he just invited me to their football practice. And I saw all the things that they're doing on their own and the football leagues they're trying to make and the games that they're trying to play. with no help, no budget, nothing. And these are people on their day job trying to have a chance to play some football. So after I met them and the whole football community out here, I'm like, I need to help. So we're on volume 3 now of our camps, and this one was a third one. We came back to Manila. We did one in Manila, one on a big island in Cebu, and now we're back here in Manila this past weekend for the camp. And this one was now an international camp. We brought all the Asian players from nearby countries, Singapore, we had China, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, and a few teams from the Philippines, and all of them to compete. And my goal really is to grow football here in Asia overall, but also make the Philippines the hub of football where everybody can come here and really know that, okay, we come to the Philippines, this is the football spot in Asia, because there's nothing really like that yet, because the game is still pretty new out here, and there's not a lot of recognition, a lot of people playing. The people that know about it is really only the adults. So my camps have been mainly adults, just because they have access to media and access to TV and everything where they can learn about the game. So we're trying to start it from the adults and move our way down. So we had some youth players join the camp also and had their own little game. But really the whole goal behind it is to grow football in Asia. And this time we had 280 players here competing from all of Asia. So it was cool having people fly in just for a camp, and we made it a 3-day camp so we can make the time worth it. Had film breakdowns with them, was able to bring my coaches and trainers from the States to get there and really get them a glimpse of what real life football stuff is like. That's not just the field, it's film work, it's just everything really. So I try to put them through the whole routine, and with their mindset of getting better, and eventually in 2028, the Olympics is going to have flag football. So I'm like, why not start now and start getting them better 4 years in advance? So when the time comes, we can have some Asian country being represented. So it's been cool.
Oh, it was great to watch. Of the 4 major sports, the other 3, we see a lot of foreign influence in the game, not as much in the NFL. I don't think people realize in other countries there are football leagues that are going on. Right. And you're right, with flag football being the Olympics in LA in 28, the world is preparing for it. And you do such a great job in helping them prepare. Also talk about your Bynum Faith Foundation and what you're doing as well.
Yes, sir. So really, everything with all the football stuff, that all started through the foundation. And before the football stuff came, we just wanted to serve people in any way we can. So when we started in the Philippines, partnering up with our church out here, it just started with feeding typhoon victims and giving them really any assistance that they needed when they're fresh out of a typhoon. And that just grew to be so many different things, whether it's weekly feedings for just people in basic poverty out here, fire victims, just any natural disaster. And then it moved on to football. But really our whole goal of the foundation is to just bring need and bring help where we can while we're sharing the love of God. So really being able to do that has been even better than the football stuff. I think football stuff is cool, but being able to help people at their lowest after a natural disaster, while they're in poverty and they think nobody sees them, or really simply just consistently showing up for the same people over and over. And right now, this island that I'm on now, this is our 4th trip to see this family. So we got to see them when they're fresh out of the typhoon, and now their homes are rebuilt and their neighborhoods are rebuilt. So now we're doing different things to help the same community, and not just bringing food for a 1-day fix to get them a meal. It's food, and now we're providing boats for them to fish more and provide more fishermen in the village so they can be able to fend for themselves and be able to fund what they're doing, and not just come here and save the day for a day and then leave. We want to create a lasting impact by seeing the same people over and over, so we can build families and build friends while we come to these places. So that's been everything with the foundation. And it's been fun. It's been a cool journey being able to just serve people. That's the main goal.
It's incredible what you're doing. Again, people get to watch you on Sundays as part of the Minnesota Vikings and cheer you on. But I love when we get a chance to find out what makes somebody tick, and for you to help those in need, and then for you to bring the game of football for those that don't see a lot of football, especially when they can maybe be in the Olympics for it, is such a cool thing to see. So, Cam, this has been great. I say, good luck in the football, but as we know, that's the secondary part. I know that's your job, but you're doing so much to help so many others, and that's, in my opinion, the important thing. So thanks for coming on and telling us all what you're doing.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me on.
You got it, buddy. All right, good luck this year. Thanks. Boy, I mean, Claudia, is that incredible? I mean,
he's amazing.
And that's the thing about it. That's why I like bringing players on like that, because a lot of fans just see them as a player, as kind of a robot, as a player. But when they get the stage to do good, those that go out and do it, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of Cam Bynums out there that are doing this. But boy, the extent he goes, and he's of Philippine descent, so going there and helping those obviously in need and emergencies, and then just bringing the game of football is such a cool thing.
It's amazing. It's amazing what players do, and they know what big of an impact they have. So when they take advantage of that in such an amazing way like him, man, I'm a big fan now. I'm excited to watch him out there.
Yeah, very, very cool. Again, in his fourth year out of Cal. And, as I said, for the first time, he's dealing with a quarterback situation on the other side of the ball there with Sam Darnold and with J.J. McCarthy. I think this is one of those situations, Claudia, where unless JJ comes along at an incredible pace, that you'll see Sam Darnold kind of start things out. And Sam even knows, he knows JJ McCarthy is going to get his shot. It all just depends on when does your shot come. And a lot of that depends on how JJ McCarthy kind of picks up the game, as we start to get into camp and preseason games.
Yeah, especially with a team like the Vikings. If you look at the odds too at the DraftKings Sportsbook, I mean they're last in that NFC North to win the division at plus 1,000. So a team like that specifically, Sam Darnold's probably saying, okay, we're probably not well, every team's contending, like he just said. Every team's trying to get to the Super Bowl. But if you maybe do have a little bit more room to experiment and get McCarthy out there to get a feel for the system, it's not like we're talking Chiefs, right? Everybody can say any other team, there's different conversations, but the Chiefs very well could go out and three-peat because of the pieces they have around them, because of the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Anybody that comes into that building, it doesn't matter. It's Patrick Mahomes' job. That's not the situation with Sam Darnold. We know what Sam Darnold is bringing. We don't know J.J. McCarthy yet, so I'm excited to see how he builds with that Viking squad.
All right, coming up next, tomorrow night, Saturday night, we have UFC 303 in Las Vegas. This was supposed to be the return of Conor McGregor. It is not, because he busted a pinky toe. So who is taking his place? What's the new headline act, and where are we in the UFC right now? Ariel Helwani will join us and talk about that next. is now a guy I used to talk to a whole bunch and love talking to him about MMA and combat sports. He's a host, journalist, insider, everything there is to do with combat sports. Ariel Helwani has his thumb on the pulse, his finger, I should say, on the pulse of all that is going on. Ariel, appreciate you taking a few minutes this morning.
It's great to see you again, Mike. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for having me on the program.
Oh, I mean, listen, with the big event coming up, UFC 303 in Vegas coming up on Saturday, so many questions. So this was supposed to be Conor McGregor's return, fighting Michael Chandler. Then he breaks a pinky toe, so he's out. Chandler's out. We have a whole new main event. So take us through that scenario a bit.
Oh my gosh, this has been quite the saga, and we are finally here, although to your point, not with the original plan intact. The original plan, as of December 31st, that's when Conor announced his comeback fight for June 29th, was going to be Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. Conor has not fought since July of 2021. That's when he snapped his leg. It was a gruesome injury, and he's had this whole big, comeback that he had planned, and all these big grandiose plans. And unfortunately, very, very early this month, like literally June 1st, he breaks his toe in training. And this then set in motion one of like the great 10-day sagas in recent MMA history, because there was a press conference planned for Dublin 2 days later, and he just couldn't walk. And so they just, out of the blue, canceled it the morning of the press conference. And they had distributed 10,000 tickets to locals to come attend this press conference with Conor and Chandler in attendance. And so they didn't give a reason, and then there was all kinds of speculation, and then the fight was looking good, it was looking bad, it was looking good, and then about 2 weeks ago, they finally pulled the plug on it because he just couldn't do it. And basically what it came down to was he doesn't want to fight injured. He's fought injured in the past, and he didn't want to risk it. And so they then called upon the light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira, to fight Yuri Prochazka, who he beat in November. And so now we're getting a light heavyweight title in the main event. I think the UFC, pulled off a huge coup here. They hit a home run, all things considered, and it doesn't seem like too many fans are all that upset about the switch.
This is a couple of times for Pereira coming in on short notice, right? I mean, that's got to be a tough thing to do.
And this is why people love him. They booked him as the main event for UFC 300, which was another saga in its own right. About like a month and a half or so out. This one is 2 weeks out. And it's wild because he just fought in April. He had a broken toe going into that fight in April, which he won. He broke another toe in the fight itself. Then he's on a trip in Australia. He lives in Connecticut. He's on a trip in Australia, going on a seminar tour, a PR tour. And that's when they call him to fight on this card on Saturday. So he has to fly back to the East Coast from Australia. He's hardly training. And here he is saying, yeah, sure, I'll defend my title against the guy that I beat in November, who's one of the toughest guys in the world. And so this is why his story is crazy. Alex Pereira was signed to the UFC after Conor's last fight in September of 2021. And since then, he's fought less than 10 times. He's become a champion at 185 and 205. He's headlined MSG twice. He headlined 300. Now he's saving the day for 303. He has turned into a cult-like favorite in this sport, and it's pretty amazing. He doesn't even speak English, but yet people adore him.
I want to do a little more on this and more of the Saturday events before I get back to McGregor. What's interesting is Prochazka is, you got to explain this one to me. I'm not going to lie, I haven't heard this before, is accusing Pereira of using magic and or spiritual things to help him win fights. I don't even know how to ask this question other than, what the hell is he talking about?
So these two are two of the, and I say this with the utmost love and respect and admiration, they are two of the like wonderfully weirder fighters in the sport. And this is why people adore them. Prochazka is just a different kind of cat. This guy is as pure of a martial artist as possible. Like his whole Instagram feed is just him outside in the woods, punching trees, going for, swims in lakes in the middle of the winter. He lives in the Czech Republic. We make a huge deal about Aaron Rodgers going on these like retreats and whatnot. This guy actively every few months stays in a room, no lights, no food, 3 days, nothing, complete darkness. And he does this willingly time and again, multiple times a year. He's just a different kind of cat. And so he believes that Pereira is using like some external forces. Pereira is kind of laughing it off a little bit. But what's fascinating about it is Procházka speaks very broken English. He's from the Czech Republic. Pereira doesn't speak any English, and they're going back and forth on all this, and the fans are just eating it up. There is not a single person, like Conor McGregor is the most popular fighter in the world and the most popular fighter in the history of the sport, but he has his detractors. He has his people who despise him. There is not a single person who despises or says anything negative about both these guys. It's actually a shame that one of them has to lose on Saturday because they're both so unique and lovable in their own kind of weird way.
So as the insider, the man, as I said, with his finger on the pulse of this sport, is he using any magic or spiritual things?
Nah. So it's to go even deeper. He has a catchphrase, Pereira. He likes to say chama, which is a Portuguese word for like let's go. And he says this all the time. And there is a hypothesis, just a hypothesis out there, that Procházka is interpreting that as like a shaman because he says it all the time, and he thinks that he's like calling upon some like outside spiritual force. Now, again, we're just like kind of digging deep here. I actually kind of like not digging deep. I just want to live in a world where Yuri believes that there's some external forces going on, and Pereira's like kind of poking him, and like let's just figure it out in the cage.
So these are the two in the headline match now. What are there other storylines, or what other storylines should we know about this, about the rest of the events?
Well, okay, so the main event is a fantastic one, and especially the fact that they pulled this out of their back pocket 2.5 weeks out. Like, for example, over in boxing, which I adore as well, but Tyson Fury got cut 2 weeks before his scheduled unification bout with Alexander Usyk, and they canceled the event in February. In the UFC, they very, very, very rarely do that. So they just the show goes on. They pull just another main event out of their hat, and so that's the new main event. In addition to that, when they announced this new main event, they also announced a brand new fight as well. These two guys weren't scheduled for the card, but they are beloved in their own right. Brian Ortega, who was once like literally inches away from becoming featherweight champion. He had Alexander Volkanovski in this crazy guillotine choke, but Volk didn't tap, going up against a rising star named Diego Lopez. That's the new co-main event. The second most intriguing fight on this card, if you ask me, is a guy named Michael Venom Page, who just made his UFC debut. He was 10 plus years in another organization called Bellator. He comes over to the UFC. He's super charismatic, super fun, super flashy, going up against this rising star named Ian Gary from Ireland. I love that fight. It's going to be a striker's delight. And then there's a kid, and I stress kid because he's like a little over 20 years old. He's fighting on the prelims. His name is Peyton Talbot. He is going to be one of the future faces of the UFC. He has an unbelievable look, an unbelievable style. He's kind of like a skateboarder, surfer dude, and just doesn't have a worry in the world. And he's the biggest favorite on the card. He's like a minus 2,200. That's a name that you need to look out for. If you're at a party on Saturday for UFC 303, drop Peyton Talbot's name if you want to be like the insider cool guy, and people will be impressed when he does what he's about to do.
That's inside info that I could definitely use. And you talk about the future of the sport. So let me go back to McGregor. I mean, one of the things about McGregor was he was a great fighter, but a great personality. I mean, this is one of the things that people loved about him and the sport were the person. Years ago, you had a Ronda Rousey who went through this, but Conor McGregor, as you mentioned, top of the mountain in all of this. Do we have anybody like that in MMA right now who can kind of fill that void of that personality?
Well, I mean, they'll never. I don't know if in my lifetime there'll ever be anyone like Conor. He's a once in a generation type personality because he talked the talk and he walked the walk. He backed it all up. So I don't know, and I don't think they need that necessarily. Right now, the biggest star in the UFC is the UFC. The three letters are just absolutely on fire. They are experiencing this boom in their business that they've never experienced before. They will go to any random city in the world. Not to mention America. They were just in Louisville, Kentucky, and they had a main event that had no, connection. Usually you go to a town like that, you need a sort of local star at the top. They could go to any city in the world with two random guys, a Brazilian and, an Irishman, let's say, and they will sell that out, and they will sell it out more than any other act that has ever come through that stadium. That's what they're doing now. So the three letters are just absolutely on fire.
Again, UFC 303 Vegas on Saturday night. Kind of a new card, new main event, but we look forward to it nonetheless. Ariel, appreciate the time, man, as always. Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. Mike Golic Sr. here, Claudia Bellafato in studio in Boston. And as the show nears its end, and again, next week we'll be showing best of GoJo and Golic. This is also the last day for Claudia, who was doing a great job filling in for Jesse Caulfield, who was away on maternity leave. She will be back when the show comes back after next week. Claudia, you have been phenomenal the entire time. But the one constant kind of string through all of this is your lack of seeing popular movies. So what we decided to do, because Mike is a king of this, of throwing out a movie line and everybody, oh yeah, that's this movie, and laughing. And we would get that kind of stare from you that was like, I have no idea what movie you're talking about. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a little game. Has Claudia seen it? And the scene is spelled S-C-E-N-E, as a scene from a movie. Have you seen it? So what I'm going to do, Claudia, is I'm going to give you, let's start in, these are older movies, but it doesn't mean you can't see them at some point. These are very old movies. And I'm going to give you the famous line from them. And if you can name the movie, if you can name one of the stars in it, I'll give you credit for it, okay? Is it you... Understand? Got the rules?
Yeah.
These are some of the most this first category. The classics are some of the most famous lines from movies ever.
My hands are sweaty. Okay, let's just go. Rip the Band-Aid.
Here's the first one.
Okay.
Here's the first one, and I'll give you the only hint of this was a film made in 1942.
Oh, well.
Again, doesn't mean you couldn't have seen it. Doesn't mean you couldn't have. It's readily available everywhere to see if you want to. One of the most famous movies of all time. Here's the quote. Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine. One of the more famous lines in a movie.
Something with Marilyn Monroe in it.
It was actually, that movie is Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart. I mean, one of the most popular movies of all time.
What is it about? I don't.
You know, you're 0 for 1. Okay. This next movie was made in 1939.
Okay.
All right. Again, a classic. You have to know this line. Here it is. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. That is one of the most famous lines of one of the most famous movies of all time.
I don't know. This is my pretend think face. I literally have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay. All right. We'll keep it moving along then. That is Gone with the Wind, Clark Gable. Okay.
I'm not 70 years old, people. Go ahead.
Well, it doesn't mean you can't see them. They're readily available. Here's another popular one that had many sequels.
Okay.
1972 was the first one. And the line is, I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
Is it going like that?
Oh, well,
is it going like that? Is it Godfather?
There you go!
Never seen it, but I had a feeling.
Okay, you know what? You worked through it. So that's a nice job. Okay, all right. Here we go. We're going to move on. Those were classics. Now we're going to move on to sports. Okay, sports movies, right up your alley.
Yeah.
Here we go. First one. There's no crying in baseball.
Jennifer Gardner's commercial, but no, League of Their Own.
Oh, there you go. Well done.
But they did the commercial after it. It's funny. It's cute.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't care how you knew it. You knew it. Okay. All right. Another sports movie. You Had Me at Hello. You Had Me at Hello.
Is this a baseball movie? No.
No, it is not a baseball movie. How about this? Show me the money.
No.
Show me the money.
No, I don't think I.
All right, you're not going to know. It's Jerry Maguire. Had Me at Hello. It's Tom Cruise talking about Renee Zellweger, blah, 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 that romance. But it's Jerry Maguire. Okay, how about this one? If you build it, he will come.
Field of Dreams.
There you go, Kevin Costner. Absolutely love that one.
Good
okay,
one.
let's go to drama. All right.
Okay.
I know this one.
I should get this one.
You Can't Handle the Truth.
Yeah, no, I know that one.
No,
I definitely don't know that one.
That's Jack Nicholson, A Few Good Men. One of the
Oh,
greatest.
I could see Jack Nicholson. Yeah. Okay.
Jack 14 is one of the greatest. All right, how about this one? This is an older movie as well, not as old as the other ones. You're going to need a bigger boat. Boat, water, something bad in the water.
Titanic?
That can hurt people. No. This was, if we keep this moving because we have a few. Jaws. This was Jaws.
Oh,
First time
I probably should know that one. Okay, yeah.
Here's a classic line. Houston, we have a problem.
Is that the one that Brad Pitt's in?
That's the one Tom Hanks is in, Apollo 13. The rocket
Yeah. Right. I can't be the only one. Whoever's watching this right now, please somebody let me know I'm not alone. Tweet at us, GoJo Golic, somebody.
They're all rattling off these movies like they're nothing. All right, here we go. To comedies. All right, comedies. I'll have what she's having.
Can you describe the movie? Like, this is hard.
This was with this had to do with Meg Ryan in a diner when she was talking about faking something,
when
during sex.
Harry met Sally or something? Okay.
Well done. She did the whole thing, and the lady looks over and said, I'll have what she's having.
Yeah,
okay, you got one there. All right, here we go. Next one was a conversation. Person one, surely you can't be serious. The person answers, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
That's funny, but I don't know. I don't know what that's from.
Airplane. That's from Airplane. All right, you got a couple. There. All right, this is what I want you to do. So since you barely know any movies, especially any of the more popular movies, I want you to give us what your top, I already know what your number one is, but what are your top 5 movies that you have actually seen and know?
I feel like you might be proud of this one, okay? So you said it, The Notebook, by far my favorite. I always talk about it. Good Will Hunting, obviously.
Oh, great.
Obviously.
Yeah.
The Town, obviously. Can you tell where I'm from? I really liked Fight Club. I thought that was cool. There's a lot of underlying meanings to that people don't notice on the surface. And Dead Poet Society, I thought that was good. I clearly love Robin Williams. So
I was just going to say 2 of your top 5 have Robin Williams in them.
It's so weird because I didn't think that I loved him. He seems to be in movies that touch the soul. So
What's the last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Oh, I saw that one with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell that GoJo said to watch. Anything But You. And it was awful. That's why I like all old movies, because these new movies are just stupid.
Well, I gave you a bunch of lines from old movies that you had no idea.
Well, now
about.
I have a list. I'm going to have time now, senior, so I will watch them.
When you watched that last movie that Mike told you about, did you go to a theater for it? Do you know the last movie you were actually in a theater for? Because COVID obviously threw a lot of that.
I went to see a flick with my parents, actually, and it was a war movie, and it was also terrible and very unrealistic. So I forget what it was.
You don't remember what it was?
It clearly wasn't memorable because we walked out and they were like, there's no way the people had shot at 7 million times and nobody died. I don't like unrealistic things. It's not. But it was great, though. I crashed my parents' date night. I do like movie theaters. I do.
I talked about this before. We went to a movie. We didn't know what it entailed, and we went with my wife's mother. So Mike, Jake, and Sydney's grandmother. They were sitting all right together, and it was Wolf of Wall Street. And we sat there in that movie when some of that stuff was going on that you don't see in the trailer, and you go, oh my God, how embarrassed our kids were as their grandmother was sitting right next to him as Leo DiCaprio was doing the things he was doing in that movie. We're like, oh my God. All right, Claudia, you got a lot of movies to watch without question. All right, coming up next, we, of course, finish off with This, That, and the Third. Welcome back. GoJo and Golic. Mike Golic Sr. here. Claudia Bellafato in the studios in Boston. And it's her last show with us. She's done such a great job filling in for us. And as always, remember to subscribe, rate, review, download it as well. As wherever you listen, leave us a 5-star rating. We would really appreciate that. Watch us live Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. on DraftKings Network, streaming free on Samsung TV Plus, Roku channel, Xumo Play, and DraftKingsNetwork.com. You can always find full episodes on the DraftKings YouTube as well. And as Claudia mentioned, and I had mentioned, we'll be taking next week off, but there's going to be best of GoJo and Golic episodes here on DKN, but also best of episodes on the podcast front as well. So you'll be able to relive some of our best recent interviews and segments. And part of that is going to be Claudia not knowing any movie. Is there, continuing on that for a moment, is there any movie you see out there now that you want to go see? Or is there anything that when you see a commercial or a trailer, you say, oh yeah, I want to see that?
The one about them fake landing on the moon with Scarlett Johansson, and I think there's a lot of good actors in it.
Oh, and Channing Tatum.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that.
That cast looks pretty good too.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do kind of like that. Okay. All right. So I hope you go see it. I hope you're not just saying that.
Look at me with the movie knowledge.
Yeah. How about you? Good job. Yeah. Well done. And go see it in the theater. I love watching movies in the theater as well. Do you ever bring in your own candy to a theater?
Oh, yeah. I have like specific popcorn that I really like, so I just shove it in a bag, blanket. Waters too, because waters are like $50. I'm not going to spend. Yeah, for sure.
It can be expensive. Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, I hope you get to see that movie. All right, for this, that, and the third, let's start with this. And Trevor Lawrence, I love the headline. Trevor Lawrence and his wife are pregnant. The Jags are having a baby. Trevor Lawrence and his wife are pregnant. There's a nice picture of them sitting on the ground. You see she's pregnant, and he's holding the sonograms, the pictures of the baby. The one thing I'll say, Claudia, and this happened all the time when I was doing Mike and Mike with Greeny at ESPN. People would call in or let us know that they're in the room with their wives getting ready to have a baby, and they're watching at that point Mike and Mike on TV. They'd be in the morning. Their wife was getting ready to push to have a baby, and we'd play the song "Push It Real Good" for the wife. But the one thing that always irked us is whenever people either called in or emailed in or whatever, faxed in way back in the faxing days in about this, they would never say their wife's name ever. And I just looked at this picture and it said the Lawrences are having a baby. Her name is Marissa. She's the one doing the work. All right. He was there for a couple of minutes. She's doing all the work. I mean, give her a little bit of love. Get her name out there. I was always amazed. What's that?
What do you mean he was there for a few minutes? What does that mean?
Let's be honest about this, okay? If we're guys, all right? We did very little work that went into this, and now she's doing all the work. And much like those guys that told us their wives were in labor, they never said their name. And the tweet out there by Jacksonville never said her name. It's Marissa. So congratulations, Marissa, and Trevor as well. And I wonder, in 21 years, he'll be 45, and we see players lasting longer and longer. What's the possibility of him playing if it is a boy, his son would be 21 at the time, maybe like Bronny and LeBron being in the league at the same time. What do we think of that?
Will he have the same flow coming out of Clemson? That'd be sick. The lettuce that man had was beautiful. Yeah.
Would be interesting. Well, congratulations, Trevor and Marissa, on your upcoming baby. That is very, very cool. All right, Claudia, something happened that I'm not going to lie, I didn't see coming.
Oh, Senior, this is bad. I saw on Pat McAfee yesterday, they were playing tape, and I figured it was just some random league. No. It was USA Football, U20. They lost to Japan, Senior, 41-20. But the highlights are the worst part. You can go online and find them. Fumble at the 1 yard line. They are trying to tackle as if these people are 50 years older than them. Not 50 years older, but like it seems like two different leagues. And it's USA Football. I don't know what players were on there. And there's been some really notable players play for this specific team in years past. I don't know what got away from them, but it's awful. So now Japan is going to play Canada on Sunday for a gold medal. What is happening here?
I'm stunned. Now, I knew we had a U20 team. I actually had one of my former coaches helps coach these teams when they go overseas and play. And a lot of it is to bring American football to other countries. As I said, when Cam Bynum was on, and he does his camp in the Philippines, there are football leagues in other countries. It's just a sport unlike basketball, baseball, and hockey, where the foreign players come into those sports here that we play in our country, and they're extremely good at it. You find that on a more rare occasion in football. You will get a foreigner come in. We've seen a lot of punters come in from Australia, but occasionally a position player as well. But you don't see it a lot, even though there are leagues that are going on around the world. I just assumed, and I know they say it's bad to assume, that even our younger kids going to play around the country are winning everywhere because we play and other countries are, have been playing for a while, but just don't do it as much as we do. And 41-20, I mean, it's not like it was close. They got smoked in this game. I was stunned, which again, now this was with pads and tackle, but I am going to be interested in 2028 in LA in those Summer Olympics. Flag football is going to be a sport. So you will see some of the players on these teams, mostly like the quarterbacks, wide receivers, specialty positions, that will be part of these flag football teams from around the world that are going to play. And we're not sure, I'm not sure yet where we're going as far as will NFL players be on this roster to play as well, or because we have great flag football teams both on the men's and the women's side. I think, quite honestly, on the women's side, I think Mexico is the champions right now. But I'm going to be interested where this goes in 2028. But something I never, ever expected to be padded football for any team from the U.S. going anywhere and losing. But lose they did. Congrats to Japan. As Claudia mentioned, they will play Canada in the finals. U.S. not in the gold medal game. So that is pretty wild.
I mean, I guess it's good for the plot, right? If they're trying to get this football around to other places, then, I guess go play awful and let them win. Not let them win, but technically let them win.
I think they let them win. As you mentioned, there were some mistakes, but still tip of the cap to Japan for pulling off the win. Again, convincing one, 41-20, and now move on to the gold medal game. All right, for the third, this is not goodbye, but hopefully when will we see you again, Claudia?
I'm going away forever.
You're not going away forever, but Jess Cofield again coming back after maternity leave. She'll be back after next week when we're all off, and there'll be best of. So, do you have any favorite memories of being on the show other than Mike and I ripping you for not knowing movies and you probably not liking us for that? Do you have any positive thoughts of your time here?
Of course. Honestly, I loved when you guys came in studio. That was really fun. And for listeners who have been listening to you and GoJo for a while, just to know that Mike and Mike are amazing in person, even more funny when they have zero filter. They usually don't have much of a filter on TV either, but in person, even more so. So plenty of laughs and smiles and good times when you guys were in here. And this whole crew, like I said, everyone, donuts was the least I could do. Everyone works really hard out here. I don't know how Jessie has children and wakes up this early to come in here, but all the credit to her and just everyone on this squad. You guys are great. It's been a lot of fun.
How are the gifts that everybody got you there? Have you opened them? Has everybody gotten you a gift?
I'm pretty sure that they brought them, but we're just going to open them after. Right, guys?
Oh,
right? Howie, no? Yeah, after.
Claudia, let me just say they are guys, so there is no way anybody thought in advance to do anything like that. You were nice enough to bring donuts, and they did not reciprocate with gifts. But you have been great with Mike and I. We have enjoyed our time with you very, very much. I know you'll be off doing great things as well. Hopefully our paths will cross again in this business. They usually do. But we really appreciate all that you put into this show. You have helped make it a success for Mike and I. We do appreciate that very much.
Love you guys. Thank you.